I'd like to start tonight with a moment of silence for the lives lost on our roads each day. Dead people lay scattered on our roads. Innocent lives lost each day thanks to careless driving, mostly by young people. Welcome to Boomerposting with Brian. I'm Brian from Bankstown, and tonight we're going to be doing something very special. But Brian, you ask, what could be more special than you and I spending time together talking about boomer posting? Well, what is going to be special is tonight's special episode, where we're going to take some of the best driving advice as dispensed by a group where we all pretend to be Aussie boomers, and we're going to collate it into one super safety driving video. That's right, you heard me correct. In under 30 minutes, I'm going to have you driving to the highest boomer standards, which, to be fair, is only just slightly better than having no standards at all. I bring this up because driving isn't all fun and games and ploughing your car through storefronts. Driving is actually all about safety. Not necessarily your safety or the safety of other drivers, but it's a good word to say, and it's a good place to start. If you'd like to skip ahead, please look at the time codes down on the bottom of your screen now. Without much further ado, let's get into it. The first aspect to driver safety is speed. Our friend Heather here reminds us that driving 20k under the speed limit is a really efficient way to increase your safety on the road. Whoa there, Daredevil, 20k? Try a healthy 35. I'm kidding, of course. 20k is more than healthy, but it's important to remember that anything faster than a brisk walking pace puts you at risk of serious injury or even death. This represents the human spine. At only 10 kilometers an hour, this could snap in half if you were to be slammed into by a rogue teenager. At 50 kilometers an hour, that risk more than doubles. That's your spine, because you just drove full speed in reverse into a storefront. That's your spine. Severed in 16 places because you just reversed over 2 other parked cars. How? But let's just say that you've spent your life as a bit of a dust devil, bit of a Heevel Knievel. How are you meant to adjust to now driving 20k under the speed limit? Don't you worry, our friend Chloe has a great piece of advice. Just keep the handbrake up while driving. And some might argue that the cost of worn tyres does not justify the cost of lifting your handbrake at all times. I argue that there's no cost put on safety. Are you aware of how many criminals are out there just waiting to switch your brake and your accelerator, making you accidentally reverse through a storefront? Basically, you need to take safety seriously, and a safe driver is a slow driver, and a slow driver is a careful driver, and a careful driver is a scared driver. And a scared driver doesn't make mistakes. But he does happen to coincidentally be involved in quite a lot of them. Giving way is a complex subject that couldn't easily be summed up in a single sentence. Some people say, always give way to your right. Other people say, it couldn't be that simple. And there's no real way to tell who's correct. And so, a lot of people ask me, Brian, how do I know who to give way to? Well, as our friend Miguel says, age. If you're older than them, they give way to you. If they're younger than you, they also give way to you. Basically, don't give way to anyone. Just drive through. If other drivers don't want to hit you, they'll avoid you. If they don't avoid you, it's because their reflexes are poor, and if their reflexes are poor, they probably shouldn't be on the road, and you're doing everyone a favour. You're in this car, I'm in this car, and these 2 other cars are waiting for us both to go. We're both the same age, so there's no clear leader in this hierarchy. Who goes first? That's right, neither of us. Instead, we sit and wait, holding up everybody else. The minute this car starts to move, we'll both go, throwing the entire intersection into chaos. Our next piece of advice comes courtesy of Logan, who makes a valid point about protecting your privacy in the modern age, which, to be clear, is 1986. But Logan's right, you have no idea who is following you when you're out driving. Is it a robber? ready to hijack your pristine 30-year-old Commodore? Or is it an insurance agent coming after you for accidentally misrepresenting the value of your house? No one knows, and frankly, it's no one's business where you go when you're out and about. Brian's bit number 1. Not indicating is good, but using your hazard lights is even better. At this point, you're probably wondering, Brian, how could hazard lights be even better than using no lights at all? And I would say, if you just hold the questions for a minute, I'll get around to answering it. Okay, so just be patient. But the answer for this is simple. By leaving your indicators off, people can assume where you're going. They could assume you're going straight through. But by using your hazard lights, there's no room for assumptions. And you know what they say about making assumptions? You just shouldn't do it. Because it's not good. And it makes you look like an ass. Is that the joke? Is that how that goes? But the next follow-up question to that is often always, but why your hazard lights? And I would say, if you could just stop interrupting me with your inane questions every 30 seconds, I could actually, explain it. Christ. The reason for using the hazard lights is because it causes confusion and obfuscation. By using no indicators, you leave room for people to think that you're just going straight through. But by using your hazard lights, you're telling people that you're going both left and right at the same time. But privacy doesn't just stop at indication and hazard lights. No. Let's do a thought experiment for a second. Let's pretend that we're stuck in a dark room. 10 million angry clowns are coming to find us. Would you send up a flare? No, I didn't think so. Why would you? And do you know what the roadside equivalent of flares are? Headlights, that's right, good job! And as our friend Shirley here points out, using headlights on the road is a really good way of giving away your position. So don't be a wasteful Wally. Save your headlight fluid for whenever you're in a four-wheel drive and just feel like blinding someone. As a recent immigrant to Australia, I was surprised to learn that what we call stripy zippers, you call zebra crossings. What I was even more surprised by was why. As pointed out by our friend Judy, zebra crossings exist to help Australia's wildlife across busy roads and highways. However, a common mistake, often made by millennials who haven't actually been born yet because it's 1986. Millennials. Millennials. What's the joke? But you might find yourself face to face with a millennial who doesn't know the difference between a zebra crossing, a pedestrian crossing, and a stripy zipper. This kind of situation can be frightening, but it's important to remember that stopping for people at these crossings is an admission of defeat. Plow through. If anyone gets hurt, you can always play the elderly card. The great thing about the elderly card is that it's not just applicable to situations at crossings. You can also use it when hitting other cars, personal property, or even storefronts. Just so many storefronts. Such a waste. Now, the topic of cyclists is always a little bit consensus. I personally have nothing against them. They're just a really convenient demographic for me to dump all my problems on. And it's easy to anthropomorphize them, but it's important to remember that bicyclists are road users just like you, and to me, they're a threat, just like you are. And you're probably thinking, Brian, bicyclists on the road are no more dangerous than road car drivers. But you wouldn't be saying that if you had read the same posts that I've read. Granted, if you're in the Boomer group, you probably have read the same posts I've read. But let me remind you of this particular horror story. This one was reported by Christopher, who says, Hit another cyclist today, second time this week, he didn't even get up to apologise. And being a menace to car drivers isn't the only thing wrong with cyclists. As our friend Courtney here reminds us, they don't even pay registration. And that's not all. They don't pay road user charges, they don't contribute to the petrol tax, and they don't use local mechanics. Foreign. Brian's bit number 2. If you're going to ride a bike, ride a man's bike, like a Harley Davidson or a Toyota. What's another one? And unlike a push bike, motorbikes require long pans. They don't make me look like a skinless chicken. Like a man. So I guess the lesson is, don't ride push bikes, they make you look silly. Or rather, they make me look silly, and I don't like being reminded of that. So stop it. And now that you've learnt basically all there is to know about driving, all the rules of the road are now in your head. Now that you've learnt all the rules of the road, you're probably wondering, what kind of car is right for me? But I think the first question you should ask yourself is, what transmission is right for you? And be careful how you answer here, because there is a correct answer. And it is, that's right, automatic. Because you can't blame a manual car when you get the gears confused and plow through a storefront. Just so many storefronts. But as for the make and model, you're probably looking at either a Suzuki Swift or a Toyota Vitz, neither of which are going to come out for another 20 or 30 years, so I guess you're shit out of luck. Womp womp. But now we're at the end. Mostly because I only really have one more joke left in my arsenal, and it was something to do with Fast and Furious, but like the movie from the 1950s, and I've pretty much just told you the punchline, so I guess it's ruined now. Thanks for that. But I hope that you've gained some more knowledge and more confidence behind the wheel. I know I did. But if you would like to see more Boomerposting with Brian, please let me know. I would love to make more. Otherwise, from me to you, have a good night. And f*** the plane flying overhead for ruining my video. Dead people. Dead people. Dead people. Dead people. Not necessarily your safety or the safety of other drivers, but it's a good place to say. But on this... Are you aware of just how fragile your spine is? It's sitting in your back, waiting to be mashed up. You need to take safety seriously. Huzzah! None of that is good. So save the blinker fluid for if you're driving a four-wheel drive. So save your headlight fluid for... As a recent immigrant to Australia, I was quite surprised to learn that what we call stripy zippers, you call pedestrian crossings. That's not the right line. However, a common thing you might find a common experience, and with cyclists, it's easy to anthropomorphize them